Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining. If you get a chance, like and subscribe, share, tell your friends. This is Hogan Enterprises, and I'm Sean Hogan. And today I'm starting the first video in a new series I'm calling it Meet the Fleet. Basically, I'm going to do a video on each piece of equipment we have here currently, and kind of go over what it does and what we use it for, and some backstory. So yeah. Thanks for joining, and here we go. Today, we are starting with kind of the big player, the Bobcat T66. We just got it this year. We use it on all of our rock jobs, gravel jobs, pads, excavation, trenching, the hay. We run the Kuma grapples with it. Also, because of skid loaders and their advancements in technology, they're kind of the Swiss Army knife of equipment. You can get pretty much, if you can think it, there's an attachment. Graders, trenchers, post hole diggers, mowers. They even have like concrete mixers and concrete pumps and just 101 attachments that you can put on these things. So we'll go over a little bit about how that goes, and I apologize if my voice and or quality is a little worse. I'm still getting over a cold, but one of the things that I learned was commitment. So every 2 weeks on Friday, there's a new video. So here we are. I am feeling much better, thankfully, and so anyways, here we go. So the Bobcat, this particular one, happens to have all of the features and options available. When we were speccing out machine to buy, basically the difference between the basic one and this one that has all the options was like $5,000. We did purchase it this year, so it is 2020. It is a 2023. Basically, we made our order, and then they actually built it after we ordered it. So it came from the factory built the way it is, basically for us. The only thing that we added was the wider tracks, which the wider tracks allow us to decrease our footprint. So when you're traveling through soft areas or in fields, the machine spreads the weight out better, so you don't sink, you don't make tracks, you don't tear the ground up as much. We've had very good success with that so far. We've driven it into some softer areas and definitely had a much lesser impact on the ground, which has been great. It is a 2-speed, which means there's a low gear and a high gear. For traveling purposes, it has the auto ride, which kind of acts like a shock absorber. So if you're packing material and going over a distance, going over bumps, it will absorb some of the shock, so it's not bouncing around so much. There's additional counterweights coming around to the back. It does have a backup camera, so you can see behind you anytime you're backing up, or even you can set it to be on all the time. This side pretty much looks the same as the other side. One thing I really like about this machine is all of the grease zerks and service points are super easy to get to. And with that, you're able to easily, quickly grease it. You don't have to do anything crazy. Fully enclosed cab, heat, AC, radio, Bluetooth for your phone, so you can make phone calls if you need to, which has been helpful a couple times. The engine is actually facing this way, so it is a forward-facing engine. Filters and fluids and everything it checks all pretty easy to get to. This will raise up. That's the radiator. That there's for the air conditioner. When I was shopping around doing research on these initially, I actually was looking at Kubota and was going to buy Kubota, because Kubota is a little bit cheaper, which is obviously something to consider. But due to availability, we actually ended up getting a better pricing on a new Bobcat versus buying a used Kubota, which was also better than trying to buy a new Kubota. And so that was a big part of it. Thankfully, the dealer I use here has a great support network. We haven't really had any issues with it. There's like 160 hours on it now, I think. I think there was just, I've added a little bit of coolant. I've adjusted the tracks a couple of times, which is all pretty standard. But the dealer network's been great so far. We haven't really had any mechanical issues, so I haven't had the service department haven't used them yet. But so far, so good. So we ended up going with Bobcat, obviously. Bobcat's been making these machines for, I'd have to look it up, but I want to say at least 40, 50 some odd years now. On the dairy farm back home for the longest time, all we ran was Bobcat. I grew up with Bobcat. We did a lot of things we probably shouldn't have done with those Bobcats on the farm, but we did, and it worked, so it's only dumb if it doesn't work. Coming in here, the door swings out, which is one advantage that Kubota had over Bobcat, is Kubota's door raises straight up, which would be nice, and it would be a nice feature to have, but obviously that's like the one thing. You close it, and then up here, if I can aim this right, there we go. Up here, this is our touch screen, our control console. It has two joysticks, one here, and then some auxiliary controls there. The nice thing is, if the door ever has to come off, it's this. You take those two, disconnect this wire for the wiper, and the whole thing just pops right off. So easy peasy. Oh, I guess this guy here. I did opt for the upgraded air ride seat, which has been great. It also has a heated seat, which I'll probably never use. Two side windows, you can open them. It's got HVAC controls, more vents, and this little cubby where you can pretend to put something. Seat bar, and it also has seat belt. But I'll start it here so I can show you the screen, and also just how quiet it can be. So the startup process is you push the button lights up here, and then you push and hold and it starts. And because it's cold, it's already going to do its little warm up, rev up. That's all completely automated. I'm not touching anything right now. Getting foggy in here. To actually get the machine to work, up here on the touch screen, there's a code that unlocks it. I'm not going to give you my code, but it is touch screen, so you enter it, and then it will show up with machine information. So it tells you fuel, hydraulic temperature, coolant, that's fine, battery, oil pressure, RPMs, and then hours, time, operator, and all of these, like this is the camera for the backup camera if you just want it to be on. You can connect your phone to it, which I don't have it right now. Audio, same thing. You can also do your AM, FM radio. That's fine. Thankfully, this has a lot of service reminders, so next service when it's due, and the code is probably for the radio. Yeah, so that's pretty normal. It's not actually an issue. It's just sometimes when it starts and it initially connects, it doesn't hook to the radio. And because this is my new phone, this is also my first video on this phone, so hopefully the camera, maybe the video quality is better. I don't have it hooked to this yet because I haven't used it. This is literally just all of the things you could ever possibly want to put on the front of your Bobcat. Like, literally. They've got just about everything. And think it's supposed to be like, say I wanted to use we'll just go with an angle broom. I think it's supposed to, yeah, it'll actually give you little like tips and hints on which controls do what. And this is obviously with Bobcat only equipment, I would assume. But yeah, it tells you the controls. So that's kind of nifty. I don't use it a whole lot because right now I only have bucket and a set of pallet forks. All the other attachments I use I rent, and it's usually things like augers. I think we did rent a rototiller attachment, tried that out once. But you got favorites, there's security, there's a lot here. This machine currently has the admin's always there, and then me, and then I have another code for other people that use the machine, Ashley or whoever. And the nice thing is with this is I can set up parameters like control the max speed. I can lock out the high flow. I can lock out auxiliary hydraulics altogether. I can make the radio stay off. All that stuff you can control through these settings. So when you get new operators, they can't go full speed forward or reverse or anything like that. You can set it so they can't have the radio blasting and not hear what they're doing and run into something, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. So I do have two accounts on here. I have mine, which is everything wide open, and then I have one that's listed as new operators, basically, where everything's basically dialed down 50%. With that, the other thing that's really nice about it is it has settings for like using a trencher where you can off track automatically adjust for drag. So normally when you're trenching, it'll try to pull to one side, usually to the left. You can set it so that when you're pulling back, it will slightly speed up the left track ahead of the right track, and it will keep the machine straight. It's got a cruise control, so when you're doing things like that, you don't have to sit and constantly try and feather the control for the speed. You just turn the speed to the max speed you want and just hold it. Right now, I currently use ESO. There's the H pattern, and the H pattern is basically where both joysticks drive, and then so one would steer basically forward reverse for each track, and then your side to side would control your bucket. I actually use ISO, which is the other way around, which is one stick, so just my right stick. Oh, I gotta unlock it. So up, down, and then your tilt. And so because of that, this stick is forward, reverse, and then your left and right. And it's totally operator preference. You can use either one. Whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're good at, go for it. That's just my preference. I originally started using H pattern when I ran these as a kid on the farm, because that's what we bought. But those machines usually have foot pedals, and it kind of looks like these are foot pedals, but these are stationary. They're just foot rests. They don't move. The only thing that moves is the throttle. But the ones at home used to have foot pedals, and the foot pedals controlled the bucket, and the arms only controlled the loader movement. So since they've gone away from that, basically your options are to do it all on the sticks, and for me to do it all on the sticks, that pattern makes the most sense. So that's just my preference. Over here, so this controls your Bobtack. So this is actually the 2 pins out there. So I'm going to hold this button, and it's going to unlock. And then if you hold the down button, they go back down. So that's really nice. This is the first machine I've ran that has that, and it is amazing. It's nice being able to switch from the forks to the bucket without having to stop and get out and move those by hand. The nice thing though is if you want to, you can detach that cylinder with a couple of nuts, and then you can use them manually. So if that cylinder stops working or gets damaged, it's not like you're just stuck without a machine, which is really nice. And thankfully all the features on this machine that are automatic and nice can basically be used manually as well, so that it doesn't stop your machine if something happens. This bottom one here, this is the 2-speed fan. So that controls, the fan normally pulls air down into the coolant, and then every once in a while it'll switch and push out. And all that does is helps keep the radiator clean in dusty conditions. This is the ride control, so basically just on and off. This is an auto leveler, so if you notice, right now I got my bucket flat on the ground. With this off, I raise up, nothing happens. It just stays. It might be hard to see on the video, but if you turn it on, so that turns it so it just levels going up. This makes it so it levels going up and down. So now, when I go up, the bucket will start to level out. And you might be able to see it once it's over my head here, but the bucket stays level. And then when you come down, it does the same thing. I grew up doing that manually. Machines back then didn't have that. So that's a really cool feature for me, especially doing things like with pallets, or if it's a man basket with someone in there and you want to keep it level. It's really nice to have. Washer, wiper, I think that's really it. This one I don't think actually does. Yeah, so that's a feature that I don't think I have. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I'm sure I could look it up. Over on this side, this controls your start, so that just indicates everything's on. That's your glow plugs. This is for when you're cranking. Then obviously this shuts everything off. This is the interlock, so anytime that's pressed, the machine's unlocked. If I press it again, it puts on the park brake and everything's locked. Nothing happens. Lights, front, rear, all. This is for the auxiliary hydraulics, so that's just standard. That's high flow, and then back off. This, like I said, switches between H pattern and ISO pattern. This is a stationary throttle, so I have the foot pedal down here, which is what I use most of the time. But if you need a set throttle for like a trencher or something that's stationary, you can set throttle. Everything down here, this is a manual knob for the screen, so you can navigate the screen with this dial. You can also just do it by touch, which is what I normally do. Home, your backup camera for your phone and tunes, sound, mute, and then this is probably for your favorites, and then this also pushes, I think, for like enter. So we're in the cab currently. I don't know how much machine noise is getting transferred through, but everything's closed. So for example, because I know I'll be able to hear this, that is current volume in the cab. Now if I open up my windows, so they did a really good job. A lot of the sound doesn't get in. You'll notice a difference here. So they've done an extremely good job of keeping everything insulated, to where it's to the point that sometimes I'm louder than I think I am. I'll be doing stuff and they'll be like, hey, it's kind of loud. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice. Especially things like trenching, because trenching is always done in reverse. Thankfully, not that they probably want you to do this, but I usually will unplug the backup alarm when I'm trenching. It's right inside the door. It's just a simple connection I can pull apart. Then once I'm done trenching, I make sure and plug it back in, and it will tell you. This thing's got sensors for everything, so if I unplug it, it will tell me on the screen, hey, there's something wrong with your backup alarm. But I do that personally because I'm trenching in an area where no one else is around. Trenching is an extremely slow process, like 0.1, 0.2 miles an hour max, maybe. So with that, in those scenarios, I'm confident enough that I can take the backup alarm and unplug it, so that myself and everybody around me doesn't have to listen to that for hours on end while I'm trenching and not really going anywhere. But like I said, once I'm done trenching, I will always plug it back in, so anytime I'm just doing normal bucket work, gravel, moving, it's on and functional. Yeah, there's 159.3 hours on it as of this video, and I think it had like 2 or 3 hours on it when it showed up. So, like I said, we haven't had any issues. It's been a great machine. Bobcat's been making them a long time. They are a little pricey. They're not the most expensive, but they're not the cheapest. But I think it's worth it for the quality you get from the dealership, as far as the sales team and the service team. Basically, dealer support is where it's at. All new machines are expensive. All new machines will break. All new machines will have problems. It's just a matter of who has the best network for getting your machine fixed and back up and running, and parts availability, things like that, and who's been doing it a long time. Bobcat's been making these things for a long time. They're obviously pretty good at it. I don't have official statistics to know if they're like the biggest in the world or anything like that. And also, like I said, it's what I grew up with. It's what we had on the farm. They were a lot different back then. They were a lot more simpler, and they had a lot less features. But all those things add up. It's nice because I can run this out in the dirt and the dust all day long, and as long as I keep the filters on the machine clean, I stay clean in here. I don't have to breathe it, have it in my eyes, my face. I've had land clearing jobs where I've dug up and tore out wasp nests and yellow jacket nests, and I've been extremely happy to be inside a cab when that happens. Because I'll tell you what, they don't make a machine that can outrun bees and yellow jackets. There isn't one. They don't exist. So being able to stay protected, not only from the elements in the dirt, but also from insects, critters. So yeah, overall, this is the Bobcat T66. There's going to be lots of videos of it in the future. I've got some video of it running the Akuma grapples. I think I got a video with some auger post hole digging. I'm sure we're going to make more, especially next year. Once we get back into the busy season and start getting some jobs, I'm going to take it on rock jobs again, I'm sure, the hay jobs, things like that. So yeah, with that, comments, suggestions, thank you to Boring Fisherman and a couple others. You guys gave me some good feedback on my last videos and some comments. As always, the comments, the likes, the shares, that kind of helps get my videos and my name out there. So if you're willing to do that for me, that is excellent, and I greatly appreciate it. I'm just trying to get broke into this making videos thing, so I'm still figuring it out. So I'm hoping that each video is a little better than the last one I did. And yeah, so yeah, let me know if you have comments, questions, what you want to see, things I can do better. And yeah, we'll talk to you next time.